And we begin with another diplomatic fire started by the National Security Agency. Today, the European Union is holding a summit in Brussels. And one of the topics of discussion will be revelations yesterday that the NSA was listening in on German Chancellor Angela Merkel's private phone calls. Yesterday, Merkel placed a phone call to President Obama saying that if these latest spying allegations are true, then it's, quote, completely unacceptable and a serious breach of trust. Germany is just the latest ally of the United States found to be a target of the NSA's surveillance. Edward Snowden's leaks have shown that Mexico, Brazil, and France, and others are all in the NSA's crosshairs as well. The Guardian reports today that the NSA, using information from the White House, State Department, and Pentagon, acquired the phone numbers of 35 world leaders and monitored their phone conversations as well. Now, Germany's foreign minister summoned the U.S. ambassador this afternoon to explain the NSA's activities. Also today, White House Press Secretary Jay Carney tried to dismiss further criticisms against the administration.
We are not going to comment publicly on every specified alleged intelligence activity. And as a matter of policy, we have made clear that the United States gathers foreign intelligence of the type gathered by all nations. As I mentioned yesterday, the President spoke with Chancellor Merkel, reassured her that the United States is not and will not monitor the Chancellor's communications. We have also said broadly that at the President's direction we are reviewing the way that we gather intelligence to ensure that we properly balance the security concerns of our citizens and allies with the privacy concerns that all people share.
Now for more on the latest NSA-created diplomatic scandal, I was joined earlier by Lizzie Phelan, head of the Ruppli newsroom in Berlin. And I first asked her, even though the White House wants this story to go away, is it going away in Germany?
Well, it's very difficult, obviously, to make it go away. I mean, it looks like it was the German government who preempted any further leaks, NSA leaks, and came out with the news themselves, because obviously it looks like it would have been very embarrassing for them to be on the back foot and for somebody like Der Spiegel or The Guardian or Glenn Greenwald to come out to say that Merkel's phone was being tapped, and then for the German government to react against it. So it looks like the German government has preempted this and said, hey, we know that we're being spied on and we're not happy about it. Although it's really difficult to believe that they haven't known about this for a very long time, because of course when the scandal first broke earlier this year, it broke with the news that G20 leaders, which of course includes Germany, were being spied on. And this is really just a follow-on from the news a couple of months ago that Germany is the most spied on country by the USA. So it is really very embarrassing here. Of course, Germany and US are supposed to be very close allies. But then on the other hand, the outrage is also a little bit difficult to believe, because we've also seen revelations earlier that Germany was complicit in the NSA spying scandal. So how much of this is a PR exercise on the part of the German government in order to kind of save face in the face of the German public, which is very sensitive about issues of privacy? It's really difficult to tell which way, which way they've tried to play it.
Right, and we also had those Snowden leaks previously that showed that Germany was largely complicit with NSA activities, and in fact German intelligence was handing over massive amounts of data to the NSA. So you have to wonder if a lot of this is tongue-in-cheek, of Merkel saying that she has to be outraged for the sake of her public, and the United States saying that, hey, we're not spying just for the sake of image here.
Yeah, absolutely. But then on the other hand, while Germany and the US are very close in that sense, Germany is, of course, the most powerful economy in Europe and does also have its own policy, which is independent of the US. And it is having to adapt to a changing world in which the US is no longer the only show in town to trade with, etc. And, of course, it's building up relations increasingly with other economic powers, namely Russia and China, for example, which the US obviously sees as a threat to it being able to regain its position as the only show in town in the world. And so in a sense, this is just another thing that exposes that what the NSA scandal is all about is not about US national security, as the US government keeps on arguing, but really is about the US trying to always have an advantage politically and economically. And that's been shown numerous times throughout the course of this NSA saga. Of course, it's been shown when the US recently was exposed. They've been hacking the emails of the Mexican president, and the internal NSA documents showed that that was so that the US could have advantage in political talks and investment decisions. And of course, as well, when the US was exposed to be spying on Brazil, and the huge Brazilian energy company Petrobras, it's becoming increasingly difficult for the US, therefore, to argue that NSA is about national security when it's spying on its friends, when it's spying on huge international corporations that really it should be trying to shape new relationships with and to trade with and cooperate with. But instead, it's just kind of embarrassing itself more and more.
Well, speaking to that point, as you mentioned, we've seen diplomatic fires started all over the place, all over the world, as a result of the NSA spying activities. Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff, in response to, as you mentioned, the spying on Petrobras and on her personally, canceled a meeting with President Obama, which could put in jeopardy billions of dollars in defense contracts for that country. We've heard very strong words coming from elsewhere in Latin America. There's a European Union summit being held today in Brussels. What might the diplomatic fallout or economic fallout be with the European Union over allegations like this?
Well, as I said previously, it's really difficult to believe that EU leaders, including the French leader and the German leader, haven't known about this for a very long time. So it looks like any kind of outrage it's difficult to judge how genuine that is. I think if anything, the European powers kind of accept that, friends do spy on each other. And they'll carry on doing business as usual and building up their relations with US competitors. And so all that the end result seems to be is just more kind of public embarrassment for the US government, which is finding it increasingly difficult to claim the moral higher ground in this whole scandal.
Lizzie Phelan, head of the newsroom at Ruppli in Berlin, thank you so much.